week. So this was that last week we learned a mimer called Oz Yashir, and this is a continuation of that mimer that's said on Yud Gimel Tammuz, today's date, exactly 50 years ago, Tafshin Lamed Hey. So in the Kapitel Tillim, that would have been the new kapitel for the Frierdiker Rebbe in that year, the Frierdiker Rebbe at Tafshin Lamed Hey was his 85th birthday, so his new kapitel would be Kapitel Tzadik Vav. So in Kapitel Tzadik Vav it says Shir Lavaya Shir Chadash, that sing to Avaya a new song, Shir Lavaya Kol Haaretz, sing to Avaya the entire earth. Messiah, and he concludes, Yish by Tevel B'Tzedek, he will rule the globe, the earth, with righteousness, V'amim b'manosoi, and the nations with his trust. Before B'Shallah, Inyan Sefer Torah Beis HaKnesses, and Shallah explains on the section that deals with Sefer Torah and the Shul, the Mizmer that this Mizmer says Shir Lavai Shir Chadash Medaber V'Gula Asida is talking about the love, the future redemption. The Chsiv, like it says concerning the future redemption, V'Hoy Hashem L'Melech HaKol Haaretz B'Yamahu Yi Hashem HaChadosh Mayachad, that then Hashem will be a king on the entire earth. That day, Hashem will be one, his name will be one. So therefore, it says in our kapitel that he's talking about now, V'Zeu Inyan Shira Lavaya Kol Haaretz. When is it going to be a time when the entire earth will sing to Hashem, will sing to Avaya? That is when it's Mashiach's times, when he's a king over the entire earth. That is moving in a similar vein, it's understood from where it says, and the nations by his faith. What does that mean? The taich of his faith is talking about the faith in the Eibishter. There will be the faith in Hashem by all the nations, like it says, and then I will transform to the nations a clear language that all of them will call out in Hashem's name, that they will all serve him together as one. And this idea that it's talking about Mashiach's times is also hinted in another aspect. This is why it says, sing to Havaya a new shir, in the masculine, instead of, like it says, shir chadasha in many places, including in Shachris, Gedisim and Mechilta, like it's brought down the Mechilta, Chuvim, Teisus, Mesechta Pesachim. It's also brought down the Teisus and Mesechta Pesachim, the Hachigar Sinon. This is the way we read it. In other words, the Lashon and the Haggadah they're discussing over there, that it says we will say before him a new song, Hallelujah, but Shir Chadasha is all in feminine, Shir and Chadasha. Mamshich, and the Taisus continues, the B'Saifai Aymer, that we can, or the Haggadah continues, that in the end we say, that we will praise you with Shir Chadash. So why is he changed from the feminine of Shir Chadash to a masculine of Shir Chadash? So the Taisus explains, Mavur Bezev Mechilta Sham, it's explained over there in the Mechilta, the Shir does manazai Lashon Akeva. The song at present is used in feminine. Because the shir of the future times is in the masculine. Because the future redemption is a redemption that doesn't have any goals following it, as opposed to the feminine. One of the explanations is that she gives birth and then she gives birth again. Same thing by Shir Chadasha, that's Shir Chadasha. So there could be a Geula and then there could be a following Geula. But over here, it's a Geula She'enachara Golus, that's the idea of Shir Chadash. Soon we're going to connect that these are not two separate things, but let's leave that now. Second paragraph on the page. Hine Klolos in Nashir, the general idea of a shir. When do we say a shir? While in Nisim ban the Floy Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu are Hashem's miracles and wonders. Because of Shir Lavai Shir Chadash, Ki Niflois also. It says you will sing for Hashem Shir Chadash. Why? Because he did wonders. So we see that wonders And miracles are what cause a person to say a shir. And we go back in history, that the Yidden saw the great hand that Hashem did in Mitzrayim. And then, as a result of them seeing that, so we said, so then Moshe and the Bnei Yisrael sang this shir to Hashem. So we see the connection between miracles and the shir that's recited for it. Until Chazal said in Sanhedrin, that Hashem desired, wanted to make Chizkiah Melech Mashiach, because he did not say Shira for the miracles and wonders that occurred to him in the miraculous way, how the armies of Sanhedrin were killed. Therefore, Chizkiah Melech, even though he was an amazing tzaddik that was worthy to be Mashiach, he lost the opportunity, he lost the chance to become Mashiach. Nimtza comes out, comes out, the lack of shira for the wonders and miracles, that it delayed the true and complete redemption that could have been with Chizkiah Melech. So we see how vital and how important shira is. But in shira itself, there are different levels on the bezegu. In this itself, there are many types of song. On the miracles and wonders, at present, we say a shira chadasha in the feminine. And the miracles and wonders, that's going to be when Mashiach comes, we will say a shir chadash. Now, one might think these are two distinct things, they have no connection. So the Rebbe says, no, Achafal became still and all. Doesn't mean that these are two types of song that are completely disconnected one from another. That there's the Shir Chadasha in the time before Mashiach, and the Shir Chadash masculine when Mashiach comes. Ella, rather, Shir Chadasha Kideboy, an appropriate Shira Chadasha, even though it's only in the feminine that it has to do with Golus, Kideboy Lameve, Mevia Es Hashir Chadash La'as Lavi, top of the second page. It brings about and it causes the new Shir of Mashiach's times. And the Rebbe finds support or explains this as being the inner meaning of what the Tosfos says. That is the inner meaning of what the Tosfos says in Masechet Pesachim, that we conclude at the end. We say V'noidel Chashir Chadash because we're talking about the time of Mashiach. It's not just that we begin with Shir Chadash and we conclude with Shir Chadash, and they're unrelated, but rather one leads to the other. Through the Shir Chadash in the feminine, we come to the Shir Chadash of Mashiach's times. And we see a similar vein where even now we are able to tap into that. We say this in Kabbalah Shabbos, every single Shabbos we say Shir Lavai, Shir Chadash, a new song, but we use the masculine, which is seemingly something that doesn't have to do at present, it doesn't have to do with these days. Why? Because every Shabbos has in it a somewhat of the future redemption, like it's brought down in the Siddur with the word Chassidus of the Mittler Rebbe. So therefore, we find that even at present, even during the time of Golus, there's a way of connecting to the Shir Chadash of Mashiach's times. We could say that just like Shabbos is connected to the Shir Chadash in the masculine, because Shabbos is similar to Mashiach's times, and that's why we call Mizr Mishir Shabbos goes on Mashiach's times, etc. Al derech zeh, ugam beTalmud Chacham de Ikre Shabbos. The Chazal bring down that a Talmud Chacham is called Shabbos. Shagam boy shaykh in zeh, that also by Shabbos, by Talmud Chacham, it's also applicable this thing that since he is me'ain, since Shabbos is me'ain the loss of love, we say he has a taste of La'asad Lavi, so he has something to do with the Shir Chadash. Meaning that even now at present, there are people that have to do with the masculine Shir Chadash. There are times of the calendar that has to do with the Shir Chadash of Mashiach's times. That's the idea, emphasizing that there is this concept of Shir Chadash at this time. Why is there the concept of Shir Chadash at this time? Because of the association. Because it's not that the Shir Chadash in the feminine is disconnected from the Shir Chadash in the masculine. Since our avodah at the present is a preparation to the Shir Chadash in the masculine of Mashiach's times, so therefore we even have some of it now on Shabbos and by Talmud Chacham, because of that essential connection and the bond between the Shir Chadasha in the feminine to the Shir Chadash in the masculine. V'zel gamkin, second paragraph, Mashkasu Parshas Shvuah. Shechal bo Yud Beis Tammuz b'Shana Zu Parshas Chukas. This is also what it says in the Parsha of the week, that in that year, in Tavshin Lamed Hey, when the Rebbe said the Maimer, Yud Beis Tammuz came out on Parshas Chukas. This was a Maimer said on Yud Gimel Tammuz on Sunday. So Shabbos was actually Yud Beis Tammuz, and that Parsha they read that Shabbos was Chukas. And over there, the Rebbe is going to go back to what we learned in the Maimer last week. It says in the Parsha, Oz Yashir Yisrael Sashir Azois Ali Be'er Anula, that then the Yidden sang this Shira, and they said, arise the well, and respond to it. The Shira is it's explained in Rashi's commentary that this song for the well, it was because the well came down and descended to make well known the miracles of how those that were waiting in ambush for the Yidden were killed by Hashem. Now the Inyan Ashir, all of this, and when it flows, like we said earlier, that idea of a song is for the miracles and wonders. So that's why this was a special miracle and wonder, that because of that we said this song instead of like by other situations where we didn't sing a shir for the Be'er when it was first came into the wilderness 40 years ago, because it wasn't that special type of miracle and wonder. Yet, in this pasuk where it talks about it, it uses specifically the language that we said in the feminine. Because also this song was said before the future redemption. Also in this song there's an empowerment and a beginning, and it's a start for the new shir, and the masculine is going to be when Mashiach comes. Moving on, Maimer Azal, like it's also understood also from the Chazal said, She'ilu zachu, if the Yidden merited, Hoisa Gula b'knisasum la'aretz Gula she'enach ra'agos. So the Geula, when the Yidden entered Eretz Yisrael, would have been a redemption that didn't have any goals ever following it. It would have been the forever Geula with Mashiach. In other words, this Shira that they said because of the well, this had the capability, it had the potential that it would bring about in its wake immediately the Geula, the redemption. For things for reasons that disturbed and interfered, the redemption was not immediate. Yet still in all, it still contributed to the Geula. It still affects the bringing closer the idea of the true and complete redemption. Having calls that to be able to understand all of this. We have to preface first what we explained in the previous Maimer about Oz Yashim Moshe Bnei Yisrael Sashir Azois Ali Be'er Anula that we learned last week, that we learned from the Amarim of the Rabbeim and the Torah and the Torah Tzemach Tzedek. The Inyan Ali Be'er Anula, who is it referring to in the Pnimius Inyanim, that the Be'er should rise up and you should respond to it? Kai al Neshamas Yisrael. It's referring to the Jewish Neshamas. Kamashkas B'Shir Hashirim Be'bir Mailus V'Dargas Yisrael. Like it says in Shir HaShirim, in explaining the different qualities and levels amongst the Yidden by the different expressions of love and marriage between Hashem and the Jewish people. That's the general content of what Shir HaShirim is about. In it, it explains the advantage and quality of Knesset Yisrael, that's called the bride. All these different names. My sister, my friend, my dove, my complete one, and other qualities. So it says about the level of Neshamas Yisrael, it says Mayon Ganim, it's a well of gardens, a spring of gardens, Be'er Mayim Chayim, a well of living water, V'noizim Levonim, they're flowing from Levonim. V'nizbar, Shamit was explained in that previous Mayim. The pasuk Medaber Begimel Dargas B'Neshamas Yisrael. In this pasuk in Shir HaShirim, it speaks 3 levels in the Shamas. Mayon Ganim, the spring of gardens, Heim Neshamas Yisrael, Vishem Lamayl Lefnei Ridos Lamata. This is talking about the Neshamas of Yidden, the way they are above in the Ganim, in Gan Eden, before they descend down here below. Ubeir Mayim Chaim, the well of living water. Zok Fishy Lamata, that's the way the Neshamas descended down here below. Lisk my bear Hanavemim Kadama, it's like a well that flows from the depth of the earth, the same thing the Neshamas came down here into this world. And then afterwards they rise up even higher than they were initially in Gan Eden, Mayan Ganim, because of the descent down here into this world for the sake of an ascent, reaching higher than they were before, to attain the idea that they are flowing out of Levana. Just like that's the meaning of the pasuk in Shir HaShirim, so too is the meaning in the pasuk in Parshas Chukas. That's also where it says that Yidden sang, rise up the well, the inyan ashira hu inyan Allah. The idea of song is about rising up. When a person sings, it's about elevating themselves and transcending the limitations of what they are in. That's the reason why song is an important part of davening. Like it's known, the explanation of the Magid in the statement of the Mishnah, Kol Bali Hashir, all the masters of. Now, Shir over there is talking about a certain type of band or whatever that the animals wear, but here we're talking about, in a spiritual sense, Shir is talking about song. All the masters of song, Yotzim B'Shir, they go out with song, and they are drawn down with song, which means to say, the Mezritcher Magid says, every ascent from one state that's completely different and to another state that's completely different, that comes about through song. And that's the meaning of the pasuk V'zewin Ali Be'er, that they sang Ali, rise up the well. Aliyas Haneshama Aidei Ridos, top of the 3rd page, that the ascent of the Neshama through its descent. That's the way how it reaches a higher level. And in this itself, the song is in a way that we respond to it. That we're saying respond to this, in a simple sense, means respond to the Shira, but really it's the response having to do with this Aliyah. There are 2 explanations in what this response means. One explanation is that the Nula is referring to the empowerment from above before the ascent. So a Nula is always going on Esrusa Doleila. But the question is it a response as a result, or is it something that precedes it? So one explanation is that a Nula is talking about the empowerment from above, the inspiration from above that precedes the inspiration down here below. And the second explanation is Hamas Seder HaKotzuv. This second explanation fits in with the order in the pasuk Shenamar Anula La'achar Ali Be'er. That when do we say respond to it? After we say that the well rises up, meaning that there's first what we do, and then there is what comes down as a result. That's the inspiration from above that comes about afterward and through the inspiration down here below. Concerning this, the pasuk explains the Indian the idea of the ascent, that the air will rise, because like he continues over there in the pasuk, that the well was dug by officers, by ministers, the special ones of the nations dug it. So to be able to explain that connection, here he's going to explain about the Yerida of the Neshama, where it came from and how it came down. Second paragraph on the page, the explanation of this matter is, on the we say in the brachas of the morning, the Neshama you placed in me is pure. So you created her, you formed her, you blew her into me. You are guarding her and protecting her within me. To be Yais on the Neshama, while the Neshama is above, it is pure. And you created her. That's what we said, is what it says, that it's a spring of gardens. Canal, like we said before, the koyal neshama lefnei yiridas alamata. It's referring to the neshama before its descent down here below. That's the simple meaning of a spring. A spring is not a collection of water that a human being causes. But a spring is completely created by heaven. It's completely natural. That's what a spring is. Just like the neshama's state above is not something that it earned and made. This is the way it was created. That's also the idea that says the gardens, not just the spring, but also the gardens, because referring to the Gan Eden above. The Gan Eden above is again something created by Shemayim. Why is it referred to Ganim in the plural? Also, we mentioned this in that other previous Maimer, because the Gan Eden really has an infinite number of levels. Brought down Tanya from the Arizal's writings. In general, the Gan Eden, even though there's infinite levels of Gan Eden, in general it's divided into two categories of the higher level of Gan Eden and the lower level of Gan Eden. And that's why it says Mayan Ganim, that it's a spring of the gardens, the different levels of Gan Eden. So now the Rebbe is going to add another point more in detail than what we spoke about previously. So that the Gan Eden should be the way it's supposed to be. So there needs to be a spring and needs to be a river. Where do we see this? We see this in the pasuk talking about the Gan Eden down here. Like it says in Chumash Bereishis, that a river is going out of the Eden, which is the source of the river, which is where the spring was located, to irrigate the garden. And what is that irrigation process? Who does it? What does it? That's the Eden. The neshamas of Eden are the ones that draw down godliness in Gan Eden. Like it says, the thought of the Eden preceded every type of creation. Because of the Eden was the creation of the entire chain order of descent, including Gan Eden. Like it says in Bereishis, we know the famous Maimer Chazal, for the sake of Eden that are called Reishis. But a pasuk is that when it says Bereishis bara Elokim, it's not just talking about the physical world, that the physical world was created for the sake of Eden, but it means the whole entire creation process, the whole chain order of descent. Like it's brought down the Zohar, the Bereishis bara Elokim as a Shemaim Sa'aretz, that in that pasuk is included all the 10 spheres of Chochmah and Bina and Zeir Ampin and Malchus, and from that the whole creation above in Seder Shtalshus was because of the Eden. From that comes down the physical heavens and earth, including all the including the heavens and all of its hosts, and the earth and all of its hosts. Rambam, like the expression of the Rambam is Hashemayim v'haaretz v'mash b'neihem, the heaven and earth and everything between them. The Chals and Nivra B'Shvil Yisrael, all of this was created for the Yidden, and therefore they are the ones that are responsible for drawing down godliness into Gan Eden.